added to me starting Milan Beauty. I just wanted to help my son at first, and then I wanted to, go from there. And then really fast forward to today, Milan Beauty really became more of an outlet for me because it got bigger to me than just the external beauty part of it. I ended up going through a divorce, and that really became like my other baby. So I wanted to show my kids in going through the divorce that, okay, you can press forward. You can have purpose and help someone else. So out of Milan Beauty, I, continue to voice the importance of skincare, but I also started to voice the importance of just having a complete wellness. And I started my Sister's Keeper under that. And that's pretty much how, fast forward to where I am now with Milan Beauty. It's bigger than just the external beauty. You have to feel beautiful inside and be beautiful inside. So that's me. Milan Beauty.
I love that. Okay. Thank you so much, Chanel. Holly Bird Miller with Makeup by Holly and Makeup by Holly Beauty Partners. Hi.
Thank you all. Hi, Kim. Thank you all so much for having me. I'm really, really excited about this. I have been anxiously awaiting this day for a few weeks. So finally we're here, and I'm so excited to be able to talk to everybody about my passion. And later on, I learned that it is actually my purpose. So I am the CEO and founder of Makeup by Holly, doing business as Makeup by Holly Beauty Partners. We are a global team of beauty professionals who provide activations through hair and makeup for brands and corporations. And so I've been really fortunate to, my story started, when I was really, 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 really young. Thankfully, my mother allowed me to explore my creativity with makeup starting at the age of 12. So I had no role models that I knew of at the time, nobody that I aspired to be like. I just knew that I wanted to be creative and play around with pretty colors and play around with her lipstick. And so she allowed me to kind of explore that creativity. I was also at the time dealing with some insecurities and some low self-esteem. I was a bit of a chubby kid, so I always had self-esteem issues about my weight and things around that. And so I found comfort and solace in makeup. Whenever I would put on makeup, it always just made me feel pretty. I just felt like, all right, I'm pretty. I might not be that cute little skinny girl, but I feel pretty. It just made me feel pretty. And so my mom always said, you know what, baby, it's not what you look like on the outside, it's what you look like on the inside. And so that inner beauty radiates outward. And so that has been kind of my mantra, my motto, my thought process, the entire journey. As I always say that, we want to allow your inner beauty to radiate outward. So I've been really fortunate to have a professional business that has been in existence for a little over 8 years. Although I've been doing makeup for about 25 years, I've had my professional business for about 8 years. And I've been really fortunate to surround myself with a global team of hairstylists, makeup artists, and fashion stylists who believe in that same mantra, that same motto about helping people to look beautiful from the inside out. And so we've been really fortunate to work with a lot of brands, a lot of corporations, a lot of entrepreneurs who want to look their best on the outside, but who ultimately are beautiful people on the inside. And before they go on stage and do that big presentation, before they go on camera to present, before they are showing up on social media through photos, through video, they work with my team who helps to connect their hair, their makeup, their fashion, their overall look to their target audience. And everybody wants to look good these days. Everybody wants to look great before they get in front of that camera. And so thankfully, we're very blessed that they call on our team to be able to help them to do that. So that's who we are in a nutshell. I could go on and on and on, but I'll wait for more questions before we dig a little bit deeper about accomplishments and things of that nature.
Okay. I got a question. Chanel, I know you have a brick and mortar. So how long did you immediately get into a storefront retail space, or did you start in your kitchen? Because you have the skincare products, and I know some of the other companies that started years ago, they started off in the kitchen.
Yes. Well, so I did. Like most Carol's daughters and everyone else, I started off in my kitchen. Still, my kitchen is still my lab. In a lot of places, as I tell people, but it just that's pretty much where most people start. I would say working out of their home and learning different things, and especially like little girls mixing like the Vaseline with the Kool-Aid. People did that, to make lip gloss. It all kind of started with certain things like that. So I started out of my kitchen, and then my products went into the market at 25th. And I was at the Renaissance. So that's how I started.
Okay, thank you, Chanel.
Okay.
Now, Holly, you have beauty partners. So do you have a storefront, or are you more of a house call type of agency?
So the vast majority of us are mobile artists. Our clients like that we can travel anywhere throughout the globe. They like that we can travel to whether it's their office or to their homes where they're more comfortable. They like that they don't have to navigate to and from the salon. It kind of takes the angst and the anxiety out of their, when they're preparing for an event, that we'll travel to them. But we do have studio space that we utilize as well. But for the most part, we're traveling artists.
Okay, great. I have another question for both of you all. But we're going to lead off with Holly. How has COVID, how has that impacted your business?
You know what? It's definitely allowed us to go back to the drawing board on a few things and figure out how we needed to be more virtual, have more of a virtual presence. We were dabbling in that a bit, because we need to touch our clients, we need to feel their faces, we need to be able to do the application face to face. And so going back to the drawing board to figure out how do we provide more virtual services. And that's where I'm really fortunate that my team and we're certified artists, and we're certified makeup artists and licensed hairstylists, which means we're educated. We've educated ourselves at the highest levels in New York, in LA, and you name it. To make sure that we know how to work with every skin type, every face shape, every hair length, every hair texture. And that expertise has served us well for virtual services, because we can look at a person just like we're doing now over Zoom, and we can assess their skin type just by looking at it. We can assess we can see the size of their pores. And we can even take it a step further. As a certified makeup instructor, I work for a local academy here in Richmond, but I also teach around the globe. And so being able to teach and take that expertise that I've learned over 25 plus years, and being able to collectively take that expertise that we've learned as a team, we're able to now teach others. And we can do that virtually. And so we've been really blessed that we've been busier than ever providing a lot of virtual services.
Oh, thank you so much, Holly. I need an appointment.
Okay.
Chanel,
Damn.
for you, how has COVID impacted your business with the skincare products?
Well, COVID definitely impacted, I guess, everyone's business in some way, shape, form, because people had to now think about what they deemed as a necessity, what they deemed as, extra. So, but for me, like Holly, I kind of had to go back to the drawing board and see, okay, let me use my expertise. Let me put my thinking cap on and think about how I can expand Milan outside of what I normally do to meet the needs of my customers, my clients, and future clients. So that's when I started understanding people are scared. People, they want to still feel beautiful, but they're scared. They are really into the health part of it now. So that's when I made like elderberry syrup, stuff like that under Milan. So I was like, and that was a hit. People loved that. And then in addition to that, most recently I started my wellness. I'm starting a wellness like basket so that people can understand, with us being at home, we're all scared. We have kids, we don't have answers, but we all need to take a moment out of our days and just be well, and whatever that means for you. But I'm putting together now, that's my project that I'm working on, is my wellness basket, and that came from just me thinking about what I need. What do I need? And listening to family and friends, what do they need? People can't get hugs, so I'm putting a hug all into a basket. And that's how COVID has affected it. It's really made me think outside of the box and expand.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question for you. We'll lead off with Holly. Both of you all have mentioned education. You all went through school, got all the certifications and everything that you needed. How important has that education factored into the growth and sustainability of your business?
That's a great question. I think education is key. It's the one thing that no one can ever take from you. I could injure my arm and not be able to smoke out, create the most perfect smoky eye or the most perfect cut crease. But education is something they can't take away from me, no matter what injury. It's always going to stick with me, and it serves me well, and it allows me to be able to show up as my best self, whether I'm here in Richmond, Virginia, or I'm in Tokyo, or I'm in LA, New York, wherever. So I believe that whenever you want to be the best at anything, you should study that thing that you want to be the best in. You should put all of your time and energy and your resources into being able to learn and absorb as much as you can about the business or the service or the product that you're offering, so that you can truly be the best, because you need to be able to then sell yourself to other people. You need to sell your knowledge, sell your expertise to other people. And the best way for you to be able to do that is to know that you've gotten the education that you need in order to be able to do that. So I tell my team, it's actually a requirement of my team that we are not only educated from the onset, but we also seek continuing education. So even though we've learned, whatever I've learned in the last 25 years, I still go back and get continuing education, take continuing education courses in New York and DC and wherever as often as I can, to make sure I'm remaining apprised of what are the latest trends, what are the new products and formulations that are coming out, from skincare to cosmetics. What is it that I need to know to make sure that I'm always current, to make sure that I'm always relevant, and I'm not just doing whatever the status quo is, because, I want to be the best at what I'm doing. I feel like I've accomplished some great things, and I've been very blessed, but I feel like you can always grow. You can always continue to educate yourself. You can always continue to learn, and don't ever feel like you know it all. So education has served me incredibly well.
All right, great. And that's very important. Chanel.
I agree as well. Education is key to anything that you do. The moment you stop learning, you become stagnant, and no one is exempt from learning. And I tell people, if you don't have the resources per se to go to a actual school, there are numerous resources of that you can reach out to, as far as books, YouTube, Google, other established artists that you would like to learn from. So it's virtually no excuse as to not learn your craft, because I've always been an advocate, believe that if you show an interest, people will mentor you. You will find someone who will take that time to kind of pour into your life. So, outside of that, of course, getting the formal education, that's important as well, because you do want to become an expert in your craft. You want to be able to speak knowledgeably about whatever you are offering. So education for myself, it has served me very well, because it gave me a cutting edge. A lot of people are kitchen artists as far as making natural skincare. So what I can say my edge is that I actually have an aesthetics license. I'm an esthetician, so I did study about skincare. So, and I'm not taking away from someone who may have not, studied aesthetics, because you have people who are passionate and they, study diligently books, but it gives you a cutting edge when you are able to, take your craft to another level and actually, delve into a school and learn from the experts.
Okay, we have a question from some of our participants for you, Chanel. And they wanted to know, where did you go get your esthetician training? Where did you go to college? Because I do see a few years ago, a huge influx of all these people in the skincare. We do facials, we do massages, you have chemical peels, and there's no formal training, and I do know that you do have to be careful with this esthetician like certification. So if I go into a spa, what do I need to look for? Do you have any recommendations as far as
Sure. So I went to Von Lee School of Aesthetics, and that's in Baltimore, Maryland. And at that time, I went to Von Lee because Virginia was not offering aesthetic schools at that point. They weren't requiring you to have an aesthetics license. You could have your cosmetology license and you can still practice like skincare at that time. Now the rules have changed, so you do have to have an aesthetics license now. And if you want to offer like medical spa treatments, you have to have additional training because when I started, you could have gotten grandfathered in to be able to do microderms and chemical peels if you worked at a medical spa under the dermatologist. But now you have to have so many hours and you have to have the learning behind that because you can really do a lot of damage to someone's skin doing that. Your last question, what would you look for in a spa if you went? Well, all spas in the state of Virginia are required to have licensed estheticians to do any type of skincare. And if they are offering, like I said, the microdermabrasions and the chemical peels, then they have to be a master esthetician. So that means that they went and they took further classes and learned about how that works. So if you're going into a reputable spa, you should be fine. It's the people who are learning and saying, hey, let me come over here and I bought something off the internet that you need to be careful about. And then I also tell people, like, I don't want to contradict what I said earlier about learning and going on YouTube and Google, but sometimes you have to use your brain and you have to use common sense with that because some people will go on YouTube and Google. I had a friend a couple of years ago who went on she Googled how to do a chemical peel at home. And she got an aspirin and some water and she put it on her face and her face burned. I mean, like, and I'm like, it's because you have to know how to neutralize this. But so, before you going and doing like advanced treatments to yourself, I wouldn't recommend you to do that. But definitely, if you're going to a spa, any reputable spa, they're going to have, you can always ask to see licensing. Also, it should be visible for you to see. So.
Yeah, I know. Probably 10 years ago, I did a TCA peel. I was very careful though. I didn't have, my only horror story is I didn't know the peeling would take 10 days. So I literally looked like a reptile shedding. I was freaking out. It was just a horrible story. And I had to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned from that experience, leave it to the professionals.
Absolutely. Be mindful of the sun when you're doing a peel and all of that, because it can be, it can work against you. So,
yeah. Okay, Holly, we got a question for you. Where do you find your customers and what target market is your repeat customers?
Oh, good questions. So I find a lot of my customers through social media. I think social media is kind of for me, it's a blessing and a curse because you have to live out your life on social media to a certain extent if you want to make sure that your customers kind of get a feel for not only the business of what I'm doing, but also the person behind the business. So you have to be somewhat vulnerable in that regard and open yourself up. But social media, the way in which I use it positively, and it's been a positive tool for my business, is marketing. It's a free way to market yourself. I use Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn pretty heavily because I have a professional client base and my target audience is C-suites and professionals. So LinkedIn is great for that. And a little bit of TikTok. I'm trying to get used to that. That's a little newer, so I'm trying to get used to TikTok. But social media has been great for marketing because, again, like people can see, people see the glitz and the glam of a lot of what we do through the magazine shoots and things of that nature, and the weddings and the photo shoots. But as an artist, a working artist, there's so much behind the scenes that they don't see. And it's a lot of work. It's not just about painting pretty faces and getting people camera ready for the end result. It's a lot of hard work and sweat and tears that go into being any business owner. I'm sure Chanel can speak to that too. It's a lot of hours, a lot of sweat and tears, a lot of hard work that people don't see behind the scenes to get there. And so social media will allow me to expose myself and some of that behind the scenes grunt work so that people can have a realistic outlook on what it is to be an entrepreneur. I mean, it's not, every day is not, it's not always going to be, banking $1,000+ or, working 2 or 3 hours. And, it's a lot of work. It's, oftentimes it's 10, 12-hour days. I always tell entrepreneurs, and they know this, but you don't ever really turn it off. It's always on when you're an entrepreneur because you're always marketing, you're always promoting, you're always, especially if you're a micro business owner where you just have 1 to 5 people working with you, or, it's like you're doing a lot of the work, a lot of the grunt work, and you can't be too proud to do that grunt work. You got to put in the work, the long hours, the research, your sales, your marketing, your business development, you are product development, you are all the things, right? And oftentimes your family are some of those things too, helping you out along the way. But social media, again, allows you to be able to show all of that, show the whole picture of what it's like to be an entrepreneur. And people see that. So I've been able to market successfully through social media. Of course, I also have Google. I have Google ads that I'll post periodically. I'll do some paid ads on social media through Facebook and IG. I'll do some marketing in like Richmond Bride magazine, for example. We've been featured in there several times, so I'll put some of my marketing dollars towards that. But because everyone has gone more so to virtual, a lot of the effort, a lot of the marketing is taking place virtually these days. So yeah. And then as far as the second part of the question about the repeat business, like the target audience for the repeat business, a lot of our clients honestly are brides. And we're in the midst of bridal season right now, so that's been challenging to say the least, but it's a blessing as well. And then we also work with a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs who are those are our repeat clients, the small business owners and the entrepreneurs. And so I work with a number of branding photographers throughout the globe as well as locally. And so through them, I've partnered with people who can also bring me business. So that's another thing that I would recommend is aligning yourself with people who complement your business, and you guys can kind of leverage one another. I can't speak enough to the importance of doing that. So branding photographers, because we have the same target audience, entrepreneurs who want to brand themselves, CEOs, any professionals who want to brand themselves, then if clients are reaching out to them, then by default, because I'm partnered with them, then that's bringing me business. And that's how I've been able to grow the business globally, by being able to align myself with people who provide those services, who then bring my team and I in to be able to execute on those services.
Okay, Holly, I have one more question. You talked about the grunt work, so that sweat equity that we don't see, and you've been in the industry for 25 years. And if you make it past 5 years, that's a measure of success with any business. Tell us about some of that sweat equity that we don't see. Just one area to help the entrepreneurs or the potential entrepreneur business owners. Give them an idea of what a typical day looks like for you.
Oh boy.
You can start early. You can start early.
I do. So typically I start around, not super early, about 9 a.m. About 9 a.m. is realistic. But what I've learned to do, especially with COVID, and I'm not going out in the field as much as I was, not traveling right now as much as I was, I still try to make time, a little bit of time for me first thing in the morning. Like I try not to hop right up and hop on my, on my emails or on social media and see who I need to respond to. I will try to work out. So you got to make time for yourself too. So don't forget that, like, don't completely lose yourself in the business. So about 30 minutes or so a day for myself. So that's about all I can get, but I'll take it. So, but once you get up around, whatever time you get up, you try to eat a little bit, try to work out, then it's emails. Then I'm hopping on emails to find out, who do I need to respond to, like today. And and then I'm also, checking social media because people are reaching out that way too to book appointments or text messages. And I start creating my to-do list. And the to-do list, goes on and on and on. And my day ends up being about 10 to 12 hours a day. And that's following up on all of those, as many of those messages, and prioritizing, who are the ones that I need to get back to within the next hour, the next 2 to 3 hours, who can wait a little bit later in the day. But it still starts to help me formulate my plan for the day with my to-do list. And I have to write it all down because if I don't, I'll forget it. And there's just way too much going on up here to try to remember it all. So I highly recommend writing it all down and figuring out how to take out blocks of time during your day to get it all done. Because you don't want, as I mentioned before, a lot of people want to be an artist and they see the glitz and glam of being an artist, but they don't understand the business is just as important. And I pride myself on being a business owner who works on the business, on growing the business, and not so much in the business. In the business is, it can eat up a lot of your time. So you got to try to balance the amount of effort and time that you're giving to developing the business and helping it to grow with marketing and the business development part of it, and the relationships, and just as much as working in the business with executing the makeup, executing the contracts, executing the surveys and all the administrative things that come into play. So long hours, long days, but a to-do list helps me to kind of keep it all on track and make sure that I get it all done.
Okay, thank you, Holly. Janelle, we have a question for you about your product. How did you come across your formulation for your products, and how much experimentation did you have to do before you found your winner?
It all depends on which particular product it is. So like with the body butter, I came across that just doing a lot of research as into what essential oils were good, with just different butters were good, stuff that was gonna really help with moisturizing your skin. And depending on what I was trying to treat, like if it was like for eczema, looking at like neem oil, just different oils that help out with that. So the trial and error, I guess, would come from, at the beginning, came from just making sure that I am putting the right amount of stuff, because I didn't want people to walk away and feel like they were gonna just ruin their clothes from it being greasy, but then you wanted it to work. So just kind of that trial and error part that I had to really figure out. And what was the second question that you said?
How much did you have to experiment before you got your winning formula?
So I have one particular product, and it's a candle. The candle, oh my gosh, I feel like I wasted so much money. And when I say I don't waste the money, because when I have I call it my oops project. I give it to like family members. I'm like, it's okay, but it's not sellable. Like, I'm not gonna sell it. So they like when I mess up. But it was this one particular candle, a massage oil candle, and it's just having to know how to properly heat up the oils, and not putting too much stuff in, because you don't want it to get too hard, but you want it to solidify. It's like this is when you have to remember and go back to when you used to be in school and they said, why am I taking science? This is when it all ties in, the science and then the math. And so it all came back full circle. I'm like, okay, this is why I took it. But that was one of the things that took me forever to kind of get the right way. And then I would say another product that I don't sell, but I make for myself, is sugar wax. Sugar wax is like making, I always tell people, sugar wax is very similar to making gravy. Gravy is super simple for the people who know how to make gravy, but it's like it can mess up terribly. And sugar wax is like that too. It's only 3 ingredients, but those 3 ingredients can be it could be a bust. You can come out with sugar wax, or you can come out with some hard candy. So it's like it took a while for me. That's why I haven't sold that. And then also I don't sell that because I don't want people to experiment and mess up their, hurt themselves by waxing. But that's another product that took me a long time to come up with the formulation. So try.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Never used it, but I'm familiar with the sugar wax method.
In a little ball.
Yeah. I got a question for you. How did you, it's a question, okay, what is in your wellness package? Because the seasons, it's changing. So of course, I have oily skin, and I know a lot of people watching have oily skin. So what's in that basket?
So my wellness package is more focused right now with the COVID, the mindset right now. So what I'm developing, because I haven't put it out there yet, but what's going in that, it's going to be some bath salts so that people can relax, candles, then a journal. And then I'm looking at getting like a praying rock for people to have, and then like a calendar so people can make time out for themselves and really learn that, okay, I need to take some time away from my everyday thoughts and really, write down, journal what did you do, but not even just write down what you did, but put it in the calendar and make it, a priority and say, okay, I'm doing this day. So that's what the wellness package is going to be. It's going to be more or less dealing more with COVID mindsets right now, because people are, like I said, people are scared, and mental health right now it's a lot. So just trying to speak to the needs and make people realize that still take time for yourself. Take some time.
Don't sleep on your body butter though, because I order my body butters and my body oils from a small business in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And back in March, I always do my resupply for some stuff, March, April. And she's still in business. I called her up. How are you doing? And so I've ordered from her 3 times. I even went on to keep supporting her. She launched a subscription service. And so I signed up for that. So auto deliveries every 2 months. So don't sleep on your other products.
Thank you.
Okay, because skin, I got eczema, dry skin. I look like I played in flour.
That's how my son is.
I can't be on Zoom, looking powdery. Okay. Thank you, Chanel. Holly, how do you help young girls in the community with their confidence?
Yes, it's really near and dear to my heart because I struggled with it, like I said, when I was younger. And so I do a lot of speaking engagements for churches, civic organizations. I've been on the stages for the Natural Hair Expo and, and some other places throughout the globe. But I am always willing to, I speak for churches, so I'm always willing to speak with whoever will allow me to. And one thing, I'm not shy. And I feel like there's a lot of people who struggle with low self-esteem or even the imposter syndrome. And for those who don't know what the imposter syndrome is, especially with social media being so popular, we're looking at photos and we're looking at videos of celebrities or social media influencers, or even just, Becky down the street or whomever, and we're comparing ourselves most often to the life in which, we think they're living, because they always, everybody's living this fabulous life, right? And it's all true on social media, right? So, I help young girls and young women understand that, whatever that person next to you, has going on, or whatever they seemingly has going on, that's meant for them. But what's meant for you is meant for you. And you have to learn how to be the best version of yourself whatever that means. And you can't live somebody else's story. You have to live your own story and walk your own walk and find your own way. And so I'm so very blessed that I overcame those insecurities and that low self-esteem to the point now where I'm the most confident version of myself, not cocky, but confident. There is a difference between the two. And knowing that God didn't make any mistakes. I mean, he made me who I am for a reason, and he allowed me to be able to have a passion with artistry and image and branding that I was able to later find out it's my purpose. It's my ultimate purpose because of the doors that have been open that I haven't knocked on, and the people that I've been able to meet. Had I not have met them, had I understood that this is the lane that I'm supposed to be in. And so I'm always willing to talk to anybody who struggles with any of those things, because like I said, we all have our story to tell. We're all unique and beautiful in our own way. And it doesn't mean that we have to wear a ton of makeup, or that we have to wear, the most glamorous mink lashes, or pop in lipstick. It has very little to do with any of that. It's, again, that inner beauty that radiates outward. How do you feel about yourself when you look in the mirror? Who do you see when you look in the mirror? Is she confident? Is she showing up like the best version of herself? Once you can find that person and you genuinely see that person, then the whole world will see it as well. And so that's my story. Love to share it, and love to share it with anybody who wants to hear it.
Well, speaking into confidence, Holly, that leads me into another question. And it's a question for both of you. On a slow day, when business is slow, what keeps you motivated? What keeps your confidence up and keep you coming back, working in your business?
So I will just echo some of what I've already said, but knowing that this is my passion and purpose. And so there will be slow days. Trust and believe. Not every day is not going to be the most profitable day. Not everybody's going to be executing contracts on the same day and making those big deals. But as long as I am continuing to operate in my purpose and my passion, which is where I am right now in beauty and branding, I'm winning. Like doing something like this, I have been, like I said in the beginning, I have been looking forward to this for weeks, because speaking to young entrepreneurs who are taking the time, investing in themselves to listen to people, listen to CEOs who are in business, trying to glean what they can to figure out what they can do to learn and to better themselves and to move in the right directions. This is what fuels me. This is what gives me the drive to move forward. So long days aside, 10, 12 plus hours. I was up this morning, honestly, till 3 a.m. executing bridal contracts and doing things like that. And honestly, that's a lot of days where it's long hours, but moving in your passion, in your purpose, knowing that even if it's one baby step forward that day, that you're one step closer to your business being successful, your business even just staying afloat, especially in COVID. A lot of micro businesses are going under. A lot of small businesses are going under. They can't sustain this because they don't know how to make money, even in a pandemic or even in a recession, which is what we're in now. But just taking baby steps to move forward, researching, aligning yourself with other people, just being in a platform like this, being able to share your story. All of these are things that are helping you to grow as a business owner and helping you to be successful. So, hold on to those things. Don't get discouraged by, like I said, not signing that big contract today or bringing in any revenue that day, but knowing that you're doing things, taking the necessary steps needed to move forward in your business. That's what keeps me going on those slow days.
Thank you, Holly. Okay, Chanel. We have a question for you. Can you tell us about your business, My Sister's Keeper, and then you can go ahead and go into what keeps you motivated on your slow day?
Okay, so My Sister's Keeper was a platform that I decided to branch off from Milan. And like I said, because part of my journey, I started Milan years ago when I was married, and I had an infant child at that time. And fast forward to today, I'm divorced and I have 3 kids who are, my kids are older now. So My Sister's Keeper it was birthed from Milan in the sense that my kids remember mom making body butters and all this other stuff. But then when life hit me, you know, was finding myself kind of like withdrawing from everything. So I wanted to, you know, I kept doing the Milan, but then My Sister's Keeper was one of the platforms that I wanted to show other women that you're not alone, that, you know, you might have a hiccup in the road, but don't let that define you. Don't let that stop you. And I just wanted for women to be in a position where we can kind of hug each other and we can talk candidly and we can understand, you know, whatever. We can just be our authentic selves and draw inspiration from one another without judgment. So that's why I started My Sister's Keeper, because I wanted, you know, we as women put on a lot, we wear a lot of hats, you know, and we are nurturers, but for a moment, I wanted for us, you know, to nurture ourselves. So that's why I started that.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to start lightning round because we have 5 minutes left for Q&A. So we're going to do a lightning round. We'll start with you, Chanel. How is your brand different from other competitors in your market?
Well, I think my brand is different from other competitors because I put my Chanel twist on it. The Chanel twist is I'm my authentic self. I open up and I speak through my products. My products become people. They become they take on an ownership of nothing that I feel like anyone has seen. So when I'm branding my products, I'm branding it from a very passionate place, not just saying, hey, this works, but it's a story behind everything that I do. So I try to be my authentic self and show up with my product, because people they're not just buying the product, they're buying into the brand. So I make sure that I'm very authentic and very candid with my products. My products really become my brand.
Thank you, Chanel. Okay, Holly, how are you different from your competitor? How is your brand different from your competitors?
Makeup by Holly Beauty Partners is different in that we are fully believers of education and business. So being trained at the highest level, as I mentioned, being a certified artist, that's being trained at the highest level. Like you've done the necessary courses, you've gotten a certificate, the ribbon, everything to prove that you've done that, and then continuing to do that, the continuing education. So a lot of makeup artists aren't certified. So we have that that we're very proud of. And then the other component is the business component. I know a lot of makeup artists who still do, you know, provide services, and it's still a side hustle, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think that's beautiful, especially if they're fulfilled in that. But I've been able to make it a business because I understand the business acumen that's also needed in order to be successful. I don't see color, so my clients they don't all just look like me. I work with multicultural clientele, and that's because everyone wants to look like the best version of themselves. And so I don't just say I service brown skin or whomever. We work with everybody. So I would say it's the education and the business acumen, learning how to how to write a marketing plan, learning how to balance your books, learning how to read a profit and loss statement. I have 25 years of corporate experience too, so that helps, but I also bring all of that into my beauty partners and into our collaborative group. So I'm really proud that those are the two things that I think separate us from a lot of other artists.
All right, Holly, I have one more question. It's for both of you. How much money did you need to start your business in the beginning, and was it enough? And how did you get the funding?
Good question. So when I first started, I think I started with like $500, honestly. It wasn't a lot of money, but I knew I wanted a professional kit. I didn't want just a bunch of drugstore makeup. So I went out and I invested in some higher, more premium products. And as I made money in my business, then I reinvested into my business. It wasn't all like, all right, now I got this $600, which gave me $100 profit. Now I'm going to go burn that on these, this cute little pair of shoes or whatever. Like I always believed in reinvesting into the business, because that's the thing that gets you through, even in a depression, even in a pandemic. You got to reinvest into the business and have that capital and even have those reserves that can help float you in those times where you're not making a ton of money.
Okay, thank you, Holly. Chanel?
I took my student refund check, and I know that's probably like a no, but I took it from when I was at Howard, And I decided that I was going to start a business, and I wanted to buy some some packaging, some supplies. So, but all in all, I would say that it probably only cost me. It can cost, like, for what I do initially. You can start off with something as small as $100, seriously. But depending on how elaborate you want it to be, for me, I think it only took me maybe like 400 for me to buy like initial packaging, because I started off with basic stuff. So.
Okay, thank you, Chanel. Okay, if you could go back, Chanel, and do something better along your journey to where you are today in your business, what would it be?
Slow down and not try to be all at one time. Like initially when I first began, we get used to looking at social media and seeing people who are 17 and they have like Holly said, like makeup lines, and they're like millionaires, and you see other people who are just super hyper successful. So you kind of develop I measure my success off of sometimes looking at others and thinking, oh, I need to do this, and this, because that's what I felt like I saw online, and not realizing, okay, everybody's journey is different. So if I could do anything different, my formative years, I would just be a little bit more gentle with myself, learn exactly what it was that I wanted to do, own in on that, and perfect that, and go without trying to have a full outline on day 2. So that's what I'm.
Okay, thank you, Chanel. Okay, Holly, how about you? What could you go back and do better?
I would have done 2 things. I would have joined a group or an association or something that could help give me the resources, give me the guidance I needed, have mentors, people that could kind of help me to take that journey in a more formulated way, and not just try to like figure it out on my own and just stumble and fall. I think that there's some of that we need to do to grow and learn, but in business, oftentimes that comes with like money, right? You're gonna lose money when you're trying to figure it out on your own. You make mistakes and it's gonna cost you a ton of time and money. So associating yourself with like an association, a group or a club of like-minded individuals who you guys can figure it out together. That's what I would say. And then mentoring, like having like a mentor, somebody who's already successful in the thing that you want to become successful in, asking that person, even if you can only afford to buy them maybe a cup of coffee or what have you, but getting in front of people who are already successful in the thing that you want to become successful in, and aligning yourself with those people so you can learn as quickly as possible. And the key word being learn, like literally learn, absorb, and soak up as much as you can so you don't have to stumble and make those mistakes on your own.
Okay, thank you, Holly. One last thing. How can we find Makeup by Holly Beauty Partners or Makeup by Holly?
Sure. So we are all over social media. So on Instagram, you can find me under Makeup by Holly. We have a separate partner page for Makeup by Holly Beauty Partners. You can also find us on Facebook under the same name. And then on LinkedIn, you can find me under Makeup by Holly as well.
Okay, thank you, Holly.
Thank
Chanel.
you.
How can we find K Milan Beauty?
Well, you can find me. I have my website is www.kmilanbeauty.com, or you can go on Instagram and it's K Milan Beauty, as well as on Facebook it's K Milan Beauty as well. So.
Okay, thank you, Chanel. Okay, everyone, go ahead and give our 2 Meet the CEOs a round of applause. You ladies did wonderful. Thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us. I do have one last question, and I am going to answer that myself. Somebody asked, do you all have your LLC? Both businesses are LLCs. However, before you start your business, please consult with legal representative to make sure that you are setting your entity up in the proper way, because they have grown their businesses. So they may have started off one way and they ended up here a different way. And that's all that I have. Do we have any more questions out there from our viewers? One last question or anything? Okay, well, thank you all so much for joining us today. We would like to thank Holly Bird Miller and Chanel Jackson for your time. And we have some thank yous coming in from our audience, from some of our students from right here in Richmond. And we would like to thank you all, the viewers, for joining us today as well. And we'd like to thank our sponsors again, the City of Richmond, Richmond Public Schools, and the Robin Foundation. And thank you. If you all have any questions or whatever for any of these ladies, make sure you reach out to them through their social media and make sure you go follow them.
Yeah, I'm always available. So
Yes.
Absolutely. Much
All right.
success, everybody. Thank you all. Be safe and be well.
Yes, thank you. And make sure you come back next week, 3 o'clock. We'll be covering the fashion industry. I know I will be back to find out how to break into it. All right. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Hey, Nicholas. Where you at,
Hey,
Nick?
how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I wasn't sure if you got my message that I sent you.
You're talking about through the chat?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said hey.
Oh, I
did
didn't see
it
it.
smooth. I was smooth with